But first, as MPs prepare to vote on whether to legalise assisted dying, a special report now on how end-of-life care itself is facing a funding crisis. Hospices provide vital dignity to the terminally ill, helping ease their pain and choose how to spend their final days. But the majority of that care is paid for through donations, with just a third coming from government. Children's hospices receive even less funding. And now ITV has been told 70% are in financial deficit this year, and some have had cut jobs and vital palliative care services. Our investigations editor, Daniel Hewitt, looks at the issue from St Giles Hospice in Staffordshire, which helped his late mother.
You're right.
For 16 years, Dave and Kelly have been inseparable. Kelly is Dave's wife, the mother of his 2 children, and now his voice.
What were your first thoughts with Dave? What was the first thing that struck you?
I don't know. With Dave, he just always had a cheeky smile. Like, he could turn anything into a joke.
I'm intrigued by it. I can see you smiling already.
Because I know what he's going to say.
Oh, she was my idea of perfect.
He's always said it.
3 years ago, Dave was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer that is terminal. As his condition deteriorated, the pain intensified, and there was little relief or respite at hospital until Dave came here to St Giles in Staffordshire.
If we hadn't have had that, I don't know where we'd be, I really don't. I find in the hospital everything is so rushed, so unindividualised, that you don't get that contact, that sort of specialised input. And the biggest struggle that I found was the humanity in it and treating Dave as a human being.
It was very depressing in the hospital.
Kelly is a palliative care nurse at this hospice. Dave was always proud of her work. Now he depends on it.
I've said it before that I don't think I would be here now without her.
In 2014, this hospice cared for my mum, Diane. She had breast cancer and was dying in pain until St Giles intervened. The care my mum received meant that she could die at home with us by her side, and that's what she wanted. I'll be honest though, until then I had no idea what hospices actually did and how the care my mum received was funded.
Morning, Dave. You okay?
The vast majority of specialist hospice care is funded not by the government but by donations. My mum died with dignity because someone somewhere ran a marathon or held a bake sale. Here at St Giles, just 18% of its funding is from the state. The rest, over £8 million a year, must come from fundraising. But it's increasingly not enough.
Losing clinical staff at a time like this is just unheard of in any other clinical setting.
They've just had to make 22 people redundant.
It's a complete financial crisis, and we're finding ourselves in a position where every single year we are spending more money than we make, to the tune of about £1.5 million. We've got 23 beds here on our inpatient unit. We can only afford to run 15, so a room like this is going to be empty. It's heartbreaking, and it's absolute madness when you think that the NHS itself is struggling.
A cost of living crisis has collided with increasing staffing costs to leave hospices running out of money. Exclusive stats given to the Tonight programme show 70% of UK hospices are in financial deficit. Natalie Morris has seen the changes up close.
Welcome to Granada Reports, live with the very latest.
Her dad, Tony, was an ITV presenter at Granada in the northwest, and for many years, a close friend to me.
How would I describe my dad? He was loud. He made everything more fun and just that bit brighter.
5 years ago, Tony was diagnosed with kidney cancer. The final few weeks of his life were spent at a hospice near his home in Lancashire.
They're like angels on earth, which sounds so over the top, but that's genuinely how it felt in that moment, because I'd never experienced such compassion, such care.
Tony died peacefully at Bury Hospice in August 2020. Natalie didn't think she'd be back in a hospice so soon, but last year her mum Kim was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
She was kind of the glue that held my life together. She was the the witness to my life, the witness to the most mundane things. She was our cheerleader.
Kim passed away in September of this year. She wanted to spend her final days in a hospice, albeit a different one to Tony, but the contrasting care could not have been more stark. Natalie says it was no different to being in an overrun, under-resourced hospital.
Staff were trying their hardest. It felt like the resources had been pretty brutally stripped. To be in such a vulnerable state, to be on a shared ward with other people, all we could do was pull a thin curtain around her bed. We didn't get that privacy that we were hoping for. We didn't get that space. It was heartbreaking. This is a crucial time. You don't get a second chance at this. When someone is in the last days of their life, you don't get a do-over. You don't get to try and make that experience better again.
The hospice sector has asked the government for £110 million before Christmas to avoid further cuts to jobs and services. Since filming, Dave has passed away, with Kelly and his family by his side. The hospice was there for them until the end. Their work is precious, but precarious.
So grateful for both Kelly and Nat talking to you about the realities of what they've been through. But is anything being done about this crisis?
Well, the new Labour government says it inherited a mess from the previous government when it comes to hospice funding, but right now they're making no promises over what they would do about it. I understand Wes Street and the Health Secretary is looking closely at that request from the hospice sector for £110 million of kind of emergency funding to kind of stem the tide here. The government says that hospices are going to play a vital role in its plan to roll out healthcare into the community away from hospitals. But right now, community care is exactly what's being cut back. I mean, we've spoken to several hospices who are cutting community nurses, the kind of nurses that cared for my mum, right now. This whole debate is being supercharged by the vote on assisted dying. The hospice sector has no official position on this issue. All agree, though, whatever happens tomorrow, that palliative care, the funding model, is not in a good place. It needs to be looked at. This is a crisis, and right now no one is coming up with any sufficient answers.
OK, Daniel, thanks very much.